it sounded like sort of a lightweight project. You know, you're working with pets, and here we had people who were dying within 6 months of diagnosis. But what the Pet Patrol did is, number one, it took care of animals who needed help. I mean, these folks often were dividing their own medication because they didn't have the money to pay for their AZT, or they didn't have money to pay for their drugs. They didn't have money to pay for heartworm treatments or vet visits or all those things. So one, it simply made sure that a lot of animals in our community got their basic health needs met. What that did in return is it helped people with AIDS by alleviating an area of incredible stress for them. Number three, it made sure that someone with AIDS had companionship, because I think our pets often are more faithful and loyal to us sometimes, and sometimes they're our longest relationships in our lives is our pets that we've had for 18 years versus our 23rd girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And the last thing about it is it brought a lot of straight people into the community who said, I don't know anything about AIDS. I don't think I've met a gay person before, but I do understand pets, and I'd be willing to go in and help somebody take care of their pet. And when they began to do that, and they sat down and got to know a person with HIV and a gay person, they became incredible friends, and suddenly these Pet Patrol people, the volunteers, became incredible advocates and joined the whole movement in the whole AIDS, the fight against AIDS, and they became some of the most outspoken, dedicated crusaders in the fight against AIDS.
I put together a roast and toast for Marvin Davis, who worked for the City of Houston Health Department, who was also Lady Victoria Lust. And some people came up and said that was the best organized event that we've ever had at this location, and that's how Don Gill Productions got started.
Even with the funding that a lot of them get from the government and that type of thing, there's still never enough. There are still people out there that need our help, and this is the way that I can do it. If I can get out there on stage, raise the money, help other people raise money for the people that need it, that I've accomplished something.
I represent John Lawrence and Tyrone Gardner, who were arrested and charged with homosexual conduct. And from a historical perspective, hopefully, in the years ahead, they'll wonder what was the homosexual conduct law, because the Supreme Court is right now considering whether to take it off our books or not as unconstitutional. So during the Pride year that I was Grand Marshal, I did a lot of speaking engagements about the case and about the hope of going to the United States Supreme Court. And that hope was realized a few weeks ago in February 2003, when I went to the United States Supreme Court along with the other lawyers on the case, and actually heard the case argued, and we're now waiting for that decision. The case since 1998 has been going on different levels, and first we lost at the lowest levels, and then at the Court of Appeals we actually had a victory that was short-lived because they reversed their decision. The three-judge panel ruled the Texas homosexual conduct statute unconstitutional based upon the Texas Equal Rights Amendment. And then the entire 9-judge 14th Court of Appeals said we want to reconsider it, and they reversed that panel decision and said, no, we think it still is constitutional. And then we filed an application to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, the highest court in Texas, and they denied our application, and that could have been the end. But then we filed this document right here, which is the petition for a writ of certiorari, which is asking the United States Supreme Court to hear the case. And in the week of December 10th, 2002, the United States Supreme Court decided, yes, we will hear the case. Coincidentally, if I may go on for another moment, that same week that the United States Supreme Court decided that we were going to Washington was the same week that my adoption of my 2 children, Sabrina and Sebastian, was approved. And so that was a very exciting week for me, for these two things happened in the same week.
Today, where I'm at right now, my involvement is more so with the Houston Parents Group, Gay and Lesbian Parents Group. Now, since '98, many things have happened. One is my partner of 7 years was diagnosed with breast cancer, so my involvement with the Lesbian Health Initiative was even took on a greater significance at the time. The sense of family and wanting a family. I became a mother in 1999. I conceived, and then our son was born, Mario. He was born in the year 2000. So that's, right now, my involvement is more supportive of families and adoptive families and friends and family.
I learned at an early age, I am my brother's keeper. One of my older brothers was retarded and epileptic. And so I learned a long time ago, yes, you do reach out and care. And my simple credo was, everybody needs love. I have a great capacity. Everybody needs a hug. There's nothing wrong with personal touch. I give the best hugs in town. And importantly, everybody needs sustenance. And in care and in food, etc. And I make damn good soup.
I think it's important to be able to laugh in the face of adversity. And honey, we have had some adversity. You know, sometimes my jokes are corny, sometimes they're not on target, but if a few people laugh and it's made their day better, then I'm happy, whether it's on stage or if they're reading, you know, my column in Texas Triangle. If I can touch somebody, if I can make somebody think, occasionally if I can piss somebody off, that's okay too. I hope that's been a worthwhile contribution. It's all I can give.
The first Pride Parade I was in Dallas. Before Houston even had one, there was one in Dallas, and I remember there were so many people who were afraid that somebody would notice who they were, that people marched underneath a giant dragon so that nobody could tell who was in there, and that we had this sort of thing going where people from Houston would go to a Dallas parade, people from Dallas would go to a Houston parade once that started, because then they wouldn't be recognized. So, I mean, that, you know, and we're talking maybe 50 or 75 people in those first parades. It was a very different feeling to be out there by yourself, basically. It was like, is anybody going to notice this at all? I mean, you know, it was not much bigger than a family picnic. So, I mean, I don't really know at what moment the parades got to be from like a small gathering you could put in a little bus to being really big and taking up the whole street like they do now, and taking a long time for all the floats. But it's a totally different feeling.
If you analyze the development of Houston from a socio-political aspect, and you analyze the importance of Pride Week in this overall thing, Pride Week is the mortar that pulls all the bricks together, and it only happens once a year. And all you've got to do is walk, ride down that street and look at those faces. And the first thing you notice is not all those people are gay, but they are all out because of the excitement gendered by people liberating themselves, which creates a kind of aura of energy. And to an old theoretician like Ray Hill, Saul Alinsky's student, activist, none of this was an accident. This had to be carefully planned and constructed and made to happen. And I'm certainly not alone. I'm not even the smartest, brightest light on the block, but I have played a role in that, and I played a significant role in that, beginning significantly earlier than any other single person.
During the Pride Parade itself, you know, it's so exciting for anyone who hasn't been to a Pride Parade. My goodness, and especially if you're GLBT, it's the most incredible, affirming experience that you can experience, either watching it, but especially when you're in it. But let me tell you something, as much fun as the entire parade is from beginning to end. I believe it starts at Woodhead and runs down all the way past Montrose. When you hit a spot in the parade where it comes around the curve and it opens up and you can see those thousands of people who are all congregated right there at the intersection of Montrose and Westheimer, where Mary's is, and the Blockbuster store. It's just, it's a wall of energy that hits you. And it's if you haven't experienced it before, take a year, become involved in the parade to actually participate in it, because you will never ever forget it.
It's a good educational tool for young people to know, because there's another whole generation that have no idea what Stonewall is or was, or half the time care about. And so it's an educational process. It's not just a party. It's so that we can show people our heritage and show people where we came from and show people that we're good and we're here, we're not going anywhere, and it's our time.
I think the biggest part that especially my generation and the younger generation needs to understand about Pride over the last 25 years is that it has brought us where we are today. I mean, we have sitcoms and TV shows that have gay characters, we have gay politicians. It would have never happened if Stonewall wouldn't have happened. And our celebration of that event, it amazes me how some younger people don't even know why we celebrate Pride. And I think that's one thing we need to constantly educate our community, not even just the younger generation. Some of the older generation too kind of forget where we started from. But the last 25 years of celebrating Pride and knowing who we are and being proud and out has helped get us where we are. I think we're a very successful community. I think the world is seeing that we are just everyday people that are kind of good at what we do, and we're very successful. And Pride over the past 25 years has helped bring us all to where we are today.
I think a lot of people feel very disenfranchised. I notice on parade night, you'll see faces you've never seen before. You'll see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, and I think it gives them courage. In fact, I've had several people tell me that, thank me for being Marshal, and tell me that it was so heartening to them. And I think they appreciated that, my family participated, that was heartening to them, because they have either small children or their parent is gay or something.
The importance of Pride to me has always been the fact that there are more of us than you see. Even if that's the only day of the year you see them, there is the knowledge that there are thousands of people out there that, in a sense, are just like you. You're not alone in this world. You are not the only person who has a problem. You are not the only person who may have been pushed out by your family. You're not the only person who may have been rejected by somebody. But there are literally thousands of other people that are right there for you. It's an extension of your own family. It's a new family if you need it to be.